Well, welcome back to the techno-communism conversation. Within the last few days, yet another scientific study has revealed what I think you already know in your heart of hearts. That is that effectively the lungs of the world have shut down. This study is focusing on the functioning of rainforests, or lack of functioning of such forests in conditions above 116 degrees where they cease to convert CO2 to oxygen. But a similar level of damage has been done to the oceans. It's been a well-observed phenomenon since the early 2000s that the lungs of the world were collapsing. That you could say, according to studies, they've officially collapsed. So we're now in the oven. A runaway overheating from capitalism's climate apocalypse, poor use of industrial technology on the part of the fascist United States and fascist West is going to cause the extinction or near extinction of human beings in your lifetime. And you say, geez, Ben, that's I'd really like to do something about that, but I wonder if that's really the case, because you know that a larger part of this, by some studies 51% of this, is caused by livestock systems. You haven't changed your lifestyle, you're going to go home tonight and order a pepperoni pizza. Livestock systems cover 45% of the arable land on this planet are dedicated to worsening this problem, this unsustainable practice. So, I'd say I would do anything to protect my children. I would do anything to stop the fascist U.S. and forces of finance capital from killing this planet. But you haven't even done a little bit. You haven't even operated in service to, say, reforming that system, having known this for the better part of a half of a century. And you're not doing the things that I've suggested that might be of use in the remaining 5 years that we have left before we're all in the blast furnace, building a revolutionary cybernetic socialist organization, the kind of thing I've described on many shows in this channel. I was talking to a guy, not a friend, a fellow bicycle enthusiast who's been in Arizona for 4 generations, he says, European American person, and subject of the problem of our cities running out of water and facing the climate apocalypse in other ways came up in passing. and he says, you know, you're free to move to another city. I said, no, not really though. And he said, well, I'm going to fight the people responsible. And I had a very difficult time not laughing. This is a person who's pretty clearly a person just steeped in bourgeois ideology, white supremacist ideology. As a person who, I'm sure those 2 of those generations, of the 4 generations that have been in Arizona, were out hunting Native American people in quasi-legal posses. That's more or less the case of every part of the country, either soldiers or municipal entities are hunting Native Americans. It's just a feature of the Western United States. It's still a thing that exists in living memory in some places. This is I say to people, I have a list of 20 books. You don't have to buy anything. You can listen to these audiobooks on YouTube, and that would maybe put you in a position to do something about this problem, to become a scientific socialist or a cybernetic socialist. And they say, no. right? There's virtually no European person. I haven't met them, right? I met and there's virtually no new African person or a Native American person either. I haven't met really them either, who's not steeped in this bourgeois ideology, who wouldn't say, "Oh, I can recognize the problem," and you say, "Well, here's some ideas for how to fix the problem," and they say, "No, I can't do that." So steeped in bourgeois ideology that they cannot even change their thinking enough to try to take some steps to guarantee the survival of their species. I mean, what do you do with such people? There's two paths here, right? You can jettison this conservative baggage and start working on the revolutionary cybernetic socialist project. And, say, build that thing to the million comrades needed within the large language model open source modified work group that would be a workforce multiplier that might be in a position with a million users, this AI powered thing to stop capitalism's climate apocalypse. You can start building that. You can maybe even study the fundamentals of scientific socialism that would maybe allow you to actually do that without being a fucking idiot like the people at Singularity Net. Or you can, you could follow the example, if you're a bourgeois pig, you could follow the example of Thomas Matthew Crooks and at least take another bigger bourgeois pig out with you, right? Try to. Those are the two paths. Because in 5 years, when you're in the blast furnace, it's not going to be a kindly Professor Zion trying to convince you to do these things. It's going to be General Zion, and I'm going to ask you, what have you done to atone for your sins? And there's going to be guns involved. That's the situation that you're in. Do you imagine that the species will go extinct in a friendly way? Are you thinking? Are you thinking clearly about any of this? I wonder. This AI takeoff that we're in the midst of, the bourgeois AI takeoff, it's not a good thing. It is one of the it's some perhaps overstated, but I don't think you can really overstate the problems of capitalism's climate apocalypse. It's one of the more recent but many contributors to this problem of runaway overheating. It's a huge user of energy and water resources. Google and Microsoft now use the combined resources of about 100 other countries. Looking at that from a couple of different angles, that's the case. That's not something that should happen. No such bourgeois monstrosity should exist at all. They definitely should not be in the position to completely eclipse much of humanity. This bourgeois AI takeoff, there's a Hail Mary pass in there where this crisis is averted without a billion-person loss of life. But the people's AI takeoff, where we see orders of magnitude improvement in advanced computing models like this large language model, but built in the way that I've described using open source technology to create an autonomous, centralized organization of multi-agent systems that is a workforce multiplier and intelligence enhancer that would allow you, as a comrade, to actually do less work. The comrade user using this kind of technology might merely leave their computer on and do very little work, but nevertheless, because of the automated nature of this LLM agentic mass, um, the you would be doing higher level work than anyone on Earth for certainly most every Westerner who's contributing to these problems as they stand. Um, um, so there's no looking, I think, at 21st century with human beings still living in it without considering this idea of the agentariat or AI agentic class may not derive from large language model technology, but we have 5 years to do this. That is the technology that is available in an open source form that is sufficiently insightful and able to plan and act independently as of, say, the end of 2024 to begin to operate in the capacity that I've described. We're at an impasse. This dominion of empire and financial capital, it has created there's ravages of industry that have sown the seeds for human extinction. And this pursuit of profit comes at the expense of justice and dignity, and not least importantly, environmental sustainability. A point often lost on scientific socialists, I'm afraid. Resources are disproportionately allocated toward industries that only care about short-term profits, and but there is no mitigating this concern without the abolition of private wealth. And I think history has taught us, if it's taught us one thing, it's that you cannot abolish private wealth except to create something dramatically more powerful than it. When I look at the 20th century dismantling of scientific socialist states and undermining of scientific socialist states, the only thing I see that was that if they were larger and stronger, they would have crushed these vermin that are the bourgeoisie. And that has guided my thinking in describing this people's AI takeoff, not because I want to see someone crushed, not because I would prefer to be General Zion rather than Professor Zion. I prefer to be neither of these things. I prefer to be a person sitting in their garden. But your species is dying. And the act of love that you can do in that situation is not to tune out from the problem. Is not to ignore the problem. It's not to rationalize the problem and continue to be a part of the problem. It is to do what need be done to prevent the death of billions. And right now we are in the midst of this bourgeois AI takeoff. Google and Microsoft have been allowed to become worse polluters from a number of angles than 100 countries combined because of this lie that this bourgeois AI takeoff will be an automation of a kind that will be different from that of the full automation of other sectors under neoliberal capitalism. And that is a lie. It's the worst of lies. It's the most contemptible thing about these test grill folks, those techno-optimists, and Western tech obsessives and technologists. They're all a bunch of rascals. War criminals, really. But this future is not set in stone. It's ours to write. We can build this people's AI takeoff today. We can prevent any more massive loss of life within the next few years. And we can usher in not just a viable cybernetic socialist system, but in shortly, the interesting thing about an AI takeoff is a takeoff. So shortly thereafter, full techno-communism in a world that I've tried to describe on this channel. For the AI singularity is near. and wonders to behold beyond imagining. And on that fateful day you will rise, and all humankind will become as one, for techno-communism will win.